Hello and welcome to another episode of the Portrait Profit Show. Man, I am so glad you are here with me this Monday evening, even though it is hot. Whew, hot outside here in San Antonio, Texas. I know you may be coming from other places, but a lot of the people who are watching come from here in San Antonio, where we are live streaming from, and it has been just wild how warm it's been. We've been trying to stay inside as much as possible, and I hope you have been too. And I hope your air conditioning is working. So, thank you so much for being here today. I want to encourage you, those of you who are here watching live, to enter in hashtag live. That way we know you're watching live. By the way, if you're watching this as a replay, well, enter in hashtag replay. But those of you who are here right now, enter in hashtag live. And before I go any further, let me introduce myself. My name is Jim Landers, and my mission is simple. I help portrait photographers just like you make a great income doing what they love. Each week, you get tips and systems on the business side of photography designed to help you gain a mastery over marketing and sales, reducing the struggles that most photographers face so you can finally get what you deserve. You're in the right place. Welcome to the Portrait Profit Show. The Portrait Profit Show is brought to you by Digital Pro Lab and Landers Photography School. And with Digital Pro Lab, we have Amanda with us today. So I'm going to bring her on. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Jim. Hi, everybody. Happy Monday.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely hot outside. I'll tell you that. This weekend was a scorcher.
Yes. Did you spend a lot of time outside?
A little bit. We did some yard work and stuff, but it's regrettable. I got about 10 shades darker.
Well, you look good.
Yeah, a little tan for the summer.
Does Ray like getting out in the heat?
Yeah, he's actually right now riding his bike, so.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
I'm excited about today's panel.
Yes, I am too.
On mini sessions, I think we've got 3 great speakers, all with differing perspectives, so that's always great to hear. We've got
Absolutely. Oh, the question we had a while ago is now a yes. So that's a good thing. Let me bring them all on real quick just to say hi, and then afterwards I'll introduce each one of them. So let me bring on, bring on Erica, and bring on Lee, and bring on Brandy. Hey, you guys, how are you doing?
Hi.
So good to see each one of you. And thank you so much for being here this evening. I know you have a million other things going on because you're creatives. You fill your time with whatever you can. I know. So for you to be here, I just want to thank you. So you guys are awesome. All right. Let me give you guys, each one of you, an opportunity. Gotcha. Okay. All right. So, Amanda, did you have anything else that you wanted to share before I start interviewing these 3 wonderful, beautiful people?
Yeah, so I'll have some announcements towards the end, but I'm excited about today's panel discussion. Jim, as always, thank you so much for partnering with Digital Pro Lab and bringing this to everybody. I know this is a great time, 6:30 p.m. for everybody to get in there. Hopefully everybody's out of work and can sit down and dedicate some time to listen to these 3 fabulous women.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. All right, I'm going to bring each one, Erica, Brandy, and Lee, on one at a time. And so let's take everybody off real quick so I can do that. Oh, and before I do, let me make sure that I don't forget. Before you leave a comment, please give StreamYard. That's the platform that we use so that we can simulcast this to 5 different Facebook pages and 2 different YouTube channels so that we can see who you are. So if you don't register, then we don't know who you are. And if you make a comment, you'll still be able to make a comment. We'll still be able to see it. It'll just say Facebook user. I won't be able to see who it is. And so please, unless you want to remain anonymous, give StreamYard permission to see your name and your comment, you see it across the bottom right now. It's just a link that's on the post itself, the original post. It's up there at the top. You may have to click on that more button to see it, but it's up there at the top of this post on Facebook and on YouTube. So take a moment to do that. And for those of you who are here for the first time, thank you so much for being here. And those of you who have been here every single time and never miss, you guys freaking rock. I want to remind you, enter in hashtag live so that we know you're watching live. And if you're watching the replay, enter in hashtag replay. And anytime you hear something that sounds good, hit that like button. Hit that love button if that's what you want to hear, or any of the others too. That's fine. But we really react best to that love button. So let us know that you're enjoying what you're hearing. And I am encouraging you, ask questions, make comments. We want to hear what you have to say. And while we have plenty of questions to ask them for the time that we have, if we really like one of your questions, we're probably going to ask it. So please ask it. And besides, we can come back to it after the show. So, and I'm encouraging you, leave those comments, leave those questions, hit that like and hit that love button. All right, let's bring our speakers on one at a time. I'm going to turn that one off. And we are today talking about mini sessions. And so let's first bring on, let's see, how about if I bring on Erica first? Erica, can you tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Oh, well, I own Rockin' W Studios, and right now we are officially a consulting firm, and that's it because due to arthritis, I'm officially out of photography. My doctor has encouraged no longer picking up the camera. So now I have a health insurance agency, so I help small businesses with their health insurance and still consult on the creative side. I owned an ad agency before. I think that's what's really helped me against other photographers and getting out of the gate way faster than them was just marketing and advertising from my past history.
Nice. Yeah. Erica and I had a good conversation earlier today and several weeks ago. And she is pretty fascinating. She's a person you want to spend some time with. So I invite you to, give her or any of our other panelists a call and just invite them out to lunch. Pick their brain. I bet they'd be willing. If they've got some time, I bet they'd be willing to do it. So thank you so much, Erica, for being here today.
Thank you for asking.
Of course. All right. So let's bring on, Brandy.
Hi.
Hey, Brandy, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad you're here.
What's that?
I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Can you tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Well, Jim, you know me pretty well, but for whoever doesn't, I started photography 11 years ago, and I was part-time while I was a high school teacher. And then 4 years ago, I found this guy, Jim Landers, and he helped mentor me into going full-time with my business. And since then, I've been doing well as a full-time photographer, and I do just about everything all the time, despite how many mentors I've had that tell me to specialize and focus. I can't and I don't. And I love doing a little bit of it all. And so that's kept me going here in San Antonio for a while.
Nice. And yet we have had lots of conversations about lots of things, photography related mostly. And it's always been a good conversation. Brandy's a good person to spend time with. That smile that she has right there, that's not fake. She's always doing that. I think, I don't know, it's just like there. She has no control over it. She's smiling constantly. I don't know about, when she has to deal with kids and problems, maybe that smile's gone away, but I kind of doubt it. I bet it's there all the time anyway.
You didn't see me at the gym a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was smiling at the gym. I think I'm smiling, but I'm like trying to cover up the crying inside the gym. But
oh man. Well, thank you so
I
much for
try,
being
I
here,
try to
Brandy.
enjoy things, but yeah, I'm happy to
Yeah,
be here. Thanks for having me, Jim.
of course. Thank you. All right, so let's bring on. Let's see. I need to bring on the. Let's bring on Lee. Hi, Lee. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Other than I think my Wi-Fi is being crazy.
Uh
So
oh.
let me know if you can't hear me.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here today. How can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. I've been doing professional photography for about 8 years, and I'm kind of like Brandy. Even though people have told me to, find one little niche, like I just don't really like to do that. So I do a little bit of everything except for newborns. I like to leave that to those experts. But I just recently split my company into a specific mini session business, I guess. And then I want to keep my other business, like exclusive family sessions, wedding seniors. So, don't know if that was the best move, but I will see how it goes. Like, I literally just did it about a month ago. So we'll see how it goes. But I am busy with family. I have 2 kids, and that's why I'm in my car, because I'm sitting at gymnastics practice right now. So mini sessions are great because they allow me the freedom to get a lot done and make a little money on my own terms. So that's what I hope to help y'all with tonight.
So you're multitasking right now. You're taking care of
I'm
the kids
always
and helping
multitasking.
out other photographers. That's great. Well, thank you so much for being here. So I want to ask you, Lee, the first question. And so that question is, what was your original motivation for considering to do mini sessions?
Okay, I mean, I just kind of led with that, but I just, they're easy. I do them at my house. And I used to do them on location and go different places, and it just got to be too much for me. I wasn't making enough profit for my time. So now I just do them at my house. I buy the backdrops, so I'm not buying a bunch of props. And they are super quick. I do 15-minute sessions with kind of like a 5-minute, time in between. And it's just, I mean, honestly, it's just an easy way to make a lot of money. They don't need to be edited that much, like at all. So my editing time is low. So it's just a really quick, easy way to make a lot. But like I said, it's taken me a lot of trial and error to decide that I didn't want to do on location minis. I feel like it took away from my um, family photography sessions, which I want them to be luxury. And a lot of people are just waiting for my mini sessions to come out. So I wanted to definitely split the experience that clients got. My mini sessions, people know they're quick, they're simple, they're get in, get out. And they know that they're different than my regular family sessions.
Nice. Cool. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right. So let's ask that same question of Erica. Erica, can you tell us what your original motivation was for even considering mini sessions? And it looks like Erica might be frozen. All right, I'm going to come back to Erica because I think it's frozen. At least it looks like frozen on my side. So let me come to Brandy. Hey, Brandy.
Hi.
What was your original motivation for considering mini sessions?
So I think I started doing mini sessions when there was like an event of some sort. So I noticed that I would have families that want to come like seasonally, and they don't want to spend a lot because they're going to see me more than once a year. They're going to see me, You know, they want to do something in the Bluebonnets. They want to do something in the Christmas tree farm. And for those kind of sessions, I just realized that it's easier for them, more affordable for them, easy for me, and profitable for me to have those be mini sessions. So those are typically the times that I do traditional mini sessions, because if I'm going to drive out to a private property and have access to a bluebonnet field in someone's, you know, yard, I don't want to be there every day. I don't want to be driving out there all the time. I want to go for one or a few evenings max, and I want to make the most of it. So having the mini sessions where I stagger people in a couple hour block on one evening in the Bluebonnets was much better all the way around for me, for my clients, for everyone to do the mini shoots. And so those are the times when I take that opportunity. So Bluebonnet sessions, the Christmas tree farm. I'm not going to rent the Christmas tree farm and pay the fees and go out there 30, 40 miles every day just for one session. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it all at once, and I want to set up. And if I'm going to drag an antique sofa, which I've done, I'm going to do it just one time for all the families to knock it out in one evening. And so the best way to do that in the practice and all the times that I've done it is to do it in 1 or 2 evenings max, to try to limit my time being on those locations and try to fit everybody into one really nice evening.
That makes sense. Yeah, trying to make things work for you and for everyone.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, Brandy.
Thanks.
All right. That same question is going to Erica. Hey, Erica, what was your original motivation for considering mini sessions? Uh-oh. I don't know if she can hear me. Can you hear me? No?
So my ears are
Oh,
crazy.
yes.
So hold on a minute. I'm having internet just totally collapsed on me. Okay,
Oh.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I got to turn this up. I'm getting backfeed. Oh, okay. Nothing like this business, like to jump on your toes.
That's right.
Many sessions to me is just, 8 or 12 clients pushed into a day back to back with a theme. Being that have an advertising background, everything for me is like, I love the marketing aspect of like putting together an event. And so my mini sessions are very different than others because I don't really focus on kids. I definitely do not photograph babies. I do pinup and glamour and makeover women. So we'll have a hair and makeup team that comes in for the day, and every hour is a different girl, same backdrop, same theme. And they kind of have their own little party with it. We may go to an aviation museum once a month, and then another one might be classic cars, and then another one might be in the studio with a moon prop, or, so to me, I wanted to set up the business where I only worked 4 days a month with clients. So my goal was always to do about 32 clients a month so that I could do $100,000 a year. So by my second year, I accomplished that.
Nice.
But I do not do mini sessions for cheap. They're $400. And they sign up. Everything is a payment plan. I do it in 90 days. I plan the events a year out. Literally, the year out, I can tell you what we're going to do in December the following year.
You're going to be answering that same question here in just a little bit.
What's that?
How much time do you plan?
I mean, I spend way
Don't
more
answer
on
it yet
marketing
because I'm
than
going to ask it.
Okay. So that's why I did mini sessions.
Awesome.
I mean, so a little different than most people where it's 15 minutes in and out. My average for a session is 45 minutes,
Okay.
whether it's in the studio, cars, or whatever. And my girls are changing clothes numerous times. So they kind of all get to know each other. Because all of them within like 15, 20 minutes, they go change clothes. Then the next round of girls comes out. And it goes on all day long until they've gone through 24 little mini sessions. Because of 3 changes of clothes, if that makes sense.
Nice. That's a busy day for you.
It's very exhausting. And why I'm now retired.
From photography, you're still busy. I know you are.
Most definitely. Busy's fun.
Well, thank you for that. I'm going to ask you the next question.
Okay.
All right. So, tell me about your philosophy on mini sessions. That's for you. That's for what you see other people are doing well or not doing well. But what does it mean, and how does a mini session work in your opinion?
I think it all, I mean, my business is set up so unique and different than most people, where, to me, little pictures and, one or two of little kids, parents want to capture their entire lives and have, every 6 months, the kids change so much. My whole motivation is inspiring women to get a little bit of that happiness back from their younger years and go through a total transformation. And so it's different. They will buy, 30 30 images from that session, unlike, the kids sections. Most of my clients are always competing to get in magazines. And so they have to have so many digitals to go in those magazines. So it's a very different setup. Because my clients on average, I see 4 times a year. I don't actually have that many clients. They're just like their own little group. My niche is very small, but I owned it. Like, I really didn't have any competition. And I think that's where everybody has to kind of like make their mark. What do they want to be? What do they want to be known as? But I'm a branding expert. That's what I did before. So I understand branding, and whatever it is, it's you got to own it and just carve out your niche. It's easy to get lost in this business.
All right.
But at the end of the day, are you paying your bills? Are you accomplishing your goals? That's what should have the most meaning to you, not, being known in the area as the most famous photographer. I'm not the best photographer.
Well,
I just beat them all out in marketing.
Your group must love you, or they wouldn't keep coming back.
We just have fun. It's a day to like forget about the kids and, feel glamorous and play dress up and, be a little goofy.
Thank you, Erica. I appreciate that. All right, so let's ask that same question let's go to Lee. Lee, can you tell me about your philosophy on mini sessions and how what that means to you, and how do you feel it actually works? And you can also talk about how you feel it doesn't work.
Yeah, for sure. I've had, like I said, a lot of trial and error, especially with pricing. I've tried to charge more, I've tried to charge less. And, what I do definitely is not everybody's cup of tea for mini sessions. But what I have found works really well for me is a pretty low fee to get them in. So usually my mini sessions are $75 and they get 3 digital images. And I know everybody's like, oh my gosh. And I was that way too until I started doing this consistently, and people buy way more. I upsell the heck out of these. And so that is where I make my money. It's not with the initial fee, it's the upselling. And I do the little kids, and in my experience, like, those parents, man, they like to buy lots of extras. And so that's just kind of how it's worked for me. And like Brandy said, I did those years of lugging that couch out there and all that. And I just got to the point, I'm just like, I'm too old for this. It's too much work. So that's why I kind of stopped doing that. I still will do them occasionally, but that, again, with my time, my muscles, that wasn't exactly where I wanted to stay. So doing it super cheap, one of my mentors calls them French fry sessions. They're not the greatest quality food, but they're cheap and everybody likes them and you can make a lot of profit. So that's kind of how my philosophy is. And I know people are cringing right now, but it's what has worked for me. And that's another reason why I kind of split my business, because I want to keep the high end, but these are more affordable for a lot of families. And I do want to provide that product for those families too.
Cool. Hey, when you find something that works, it's a good idea to keep on doing what works. And of course, we all have a different definition of what that means. And so if that's right for you, it's right for you. So what if someone
Yeah.
else is cringing? If it makes you feel like you're doing the right thing, it brings in the kind of income that you're after. I suppose you're doing it the right way, even without looking at it. So
Yeah.
so thank you so much for sharing that. All right, so let's ask that same question of Brandy. Brandy, what's your philosophy on mini sessions? What does a mini session even mean? How does it work?
Well, I see some photographers that they do mini sessions often and frequently and maybe base their business around minis. And that works for some photographers. That definitely is not my geared way of doing minis. Most of the time, people are not looking for my mini sessions. I get a lot more people that book regular sessions. They want something custom. They want to choose the location. They want to have the time that I offer and all the gallery that I can create from a customized session. They want me to themselves, so to say. So I have found that I only have a little group of people that love my minis. And I have a cousin and I have a few friends and I have a few people that they can't wait till I do a mini session. They can't wait to see me advertise something like that because they want to see me, but they just want something short and sweet. And so kind of like what the last photographer was talking about is I feel like it's a little appetizer. It's if you're not coming for the whole meal, you just want a snack, then you get the mini session. And I've had people that book a mini session and then they order canvases and prints to cover a wall. And I might earn off of one mini session what I would have off of a full customized family session. And when that happens, that's a treat for me. And my client ends up with something really beautiful in their home and they're happy too. So the profit can actually exceed expectations. For me, it's got to be seasonal. For me, it's few and far between. When I've noticed that there's sometimes I advertise for minis and no one bites. It's like fishing. Sometimes you're fishing and you reel them in all day, and sometimes you're fishing and it's not your day. So recently I was kind of curious to go out to check out the sunflower fields. And I ended up taking a client that had won a giveaway, and I did the sunflower session for them at the sunflower fields at the Traders Village, and it was awesome. That would have been a really cool experience had people jumped on that for minis. But again, I don't have a background in marketing. I don't have a background in advertising, and 11 years in and doing really well for myself, that's still not always my forte, is getting the word out there. But the sunflower fields were gorgeous. It would be something I'd look into for next year. And I'm sure if I tell people next year they're going to have a really cool sunflower field, maybe a few people will put that on their radar, and maybe I can make a whole day evening of it, and that'd be really cool. That's the kind of mini session that I would do, because I'm not going to drive to the sunflower fields every day of the week for a low price, but I will for one evening and squeeze a few really sweet families in. So that's how I do it. It's going to be seasonal. It's going to be short and sweet. And then we're going to make the most out of 20 minutes instead of spending a whole evening with me and, making it a little more customized.
So you don't want to do the summer minis or the sunflower minis at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the evening during the summer?
I mean, if you're going to bring 5 of your best friends and then back to back to back,
You
We're
can
all
handle this heat?
together. You know, I actually went to the sauna today and I thought, why am I in the sauna? I
Yeah,
can't drive.
that's right. You paid for what everybody else got for free.
I know, right? But I wasn't getting a sunburn with it. So there's
Uh,
that. Or
that's
the bees
true.
or the bugs or the dirt that you have in the
That's,
sunflower field.
yep. Yeah, you're right.
People really underestimate those sunflower sessions. They're not as glamorous once you get in there.
I thoroughly believe that. They
Yeah.
sure look good in photographs. They look good when when people post them on their
Oh,
their Facebook and
it was
Instagram
so
pages.
worth it. So worth it. And that's something I would definitely look into minis for next year for.
Nice.
But I'm not going to cancel a wedding for a bride to do sunflower mini for 2 people. You know, that's just
Yeah. That makes sense.
yeah.
So I have the next question for you.
Okay.
We just answered the what was your philosophy. Now we're going to go to how has your vision of what a mini session would be changed since you first started?
I think some photographers still make mini sessions seem like the it thing. And I know some photographers that just like nail it every time. If they post a mini, I have a great friend and I don't mind bragging on her for just a minute, but Country Grace Photography in New Braunfels, she is typically a newborn photographer, but she worked up this really cool thing she does every Christmas. And she has Santa come and she's got her studio is a little barn. And I think I've known her since like first grade. But she has vamped up this Santa eating cookies and drinking milk with Santa thing every year. And it has become so crazy. Her clients go nuts over it. And they bring their kids decked out in their pajamas to hang out with Santa Claus. And it has just gotten bigger and bigger. And we became photographers the same month. And our businesses have grown separately and in our own ways, but coincided, and we've known each other through the whole process because we knew each other since we were little kids. But it's been so interesting to watch these minis she does with Santa, like they've blown up. And that's not my thing. I can't do the props like Sally is the photographer's name at Country Grace. She loves props and she is the prop queen. And if you go to her studio, she has stuff everywhere, the coolest stuff from antique shops. And it is like an antique shop threw up in her studio. I can't do it. That's not me. That's not my niche. Times that I try to include props, unless I just throw a couch out into a, field of Christmas trees, that's what you get from me. I like more nature. I like more natural elements in the photos, but she has nailed that. And so there's some photographers that make minis like seem like gold, and they can be, but it just depends on what minis you do, how you go about it, and the way you work those out. And some people love doing those. She'll do them every weekend for a couple weekends before Christmas. And one year made enough to go nearly pay cash for a new SUV. And I'm super proud of her and it's super impressive. I just operate differently and my specialties and my talents are directed in a different way. And so minis for me are not like my bread and butter of the year. My minis are like just for a little off weekend to go have fun. If there's a bluebonnet field or a sunflower field or Christmas trees, like something special where we can drive out to. They're only going to be there for a minute. We got to take advantage of the day. Let's bring a few people and knock it out all at once. For me, it's more of like 2 birds with 1 stone kind of a thing, rather than like my whole business banks off of a mini day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. A lot of good information in there, Brandy.
Yeah, bragging on my friend Sally.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that
Yeah.
story. I think that's inspirational for a lot of people to know that even with many mini does not necessarily mean mini
Mini
amount of
doesn't mean
money.
cheap, and mini doesn't mean little.
Yeah,
Mini can be like a serious, serious thing. Go check out Sally Santa's if you don't believe me. For me, they're like a little sporadic and a little bit special, and I don't hire people and I don't have props everywhere. I'm taking advantage of a field that's going to be there for 5 minutes though.
Ah,
So come
good.
with me and get a few great shots while the thing's there for a minute, or don't, but won't be back till next year.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandy. Let's ask that same question of Lee. Lee, I can see you're in a different spot now. Oh, and you're muted.
There we go. Yes, I have better Wi-Fi here. So,
Oh, good.
so there's my daughter Jim. Yes, and to keep bragging on Sally, that girl, her Santa sessions, no joke, sell out in like 5 minutes. It's amazing. So she's done a fantastic job of marketing, and I think that's like a lot of it is, once people know about you, and I mean, everybody in the entire town in New Braunfels and whole area knows about Cookies with Santa in her white kitchen. And that's why everybody wants them and gets them so fast. So that is so good. And that's so cool that Brandy knows her for so long. So my vision has definitely changed from mini sessions. I had a hard time separating what a mini session should be for me. I would try to get like a whole family session in a mini session time, and I was killing myself. And I was like, okay, this is not what a mini session should be. A mini session should be just that. Like, just get a few good pictures, and I need to stay in one spot. I don't even need to move around. So I was working way too hard at the beginning. I was just trying to do my best because I'm a people pleaser, and I was just trying to do an entire family session that I would normally do in an hour in 15 minutes, and it was exhausting for me, and I started hating mini sessions. And then I just decided, you know what? That's a family session. They need to pay for that, and pay for my energy, my time, all of that. And so I really had to scale back on what I wanted to do. And now I buy backdrops, and I always buy them on sale. I don't even have to buy a lot of props usually. But I am kind of a prop queen. Like, I can't help myself. But I've learned to stop doing that so I can make more profit. And I set up, and the one good thing that COVID did was made me realize that I can do hang up my backdrop on the side of my barn with magnets. So it's so easy for me. I mean, I set up in 5 minutes, I knock people out, and it's just really changed. And that is why I can do it for, so cheap, but I still make a lot of money from doing it. And I don't have to spend gas. I don't have to spend driving time. For me, it's just so much easier the way that I've started doing it. The one downfall for me has been that, I'm advertising these mini sessions. For example, my 4th of July one, greatness, but it was like guys in American flag Speedos and drinking beer, and they were so much fun. People loved them, but I was posting that alongside like my high-end weddings, high-end family sessions. It just wasn't cohesive at all. And so that is why I just decided to like split and make just a mini session company, and then stick with my other one. So hopefully that was a good decision. I think it was. Sorry, ambulance coming by. But that's pretty much it.
Well, that transition is, I believe, what a lot of people go through. They really aren't quite sure what a mini session is until they've done it a handful of times and tweak it and make it where it actually does what it is you're attempting to make it do. And so I think that what you did, that evolution that you had of trying to do everything, thinking you could do an entire family portrait session in 15, 20 minutes, and then evolving it to what you have today, I think most people do that. I mean, I say most, those who choose to be self-taught do it that way. I guess those who go and take classes and stuff, they may not, but that most of us creatives are self-taught. We don't take a whole lot of classes. As the owner of Landers Photography School, I wish that was different, but I am a realist. I know that that's the case. So thank you so much for sharing that evolution of how you do your sessions, Lee. I appreciate it. All right, so let's go to Erica with that same question. Erica, how has your vision of what mini sessions were going to be, how has it changed since when you first started?
So I never really understood mini sessions because it's really, to me, it was always little kids and families and going out to the fields and bang, 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 bang. And because mine is all about makeovers and transitioning women in this entire experience, I never really thought of them being mini sessions. And when I started off, oh my gosh, each client took like 5 hours between hair and makeup in the studio. And it was like a scheduling nightmare. And I felt like I was always in the studio. And that just seemed kind of crazy. So I think as time gets on, you get better at posing and more confident to work with people, know what's going to work with their body type, and you just become faster. And it transformed to me to getting them down to 45 minutes in the studio, in and out, which most mini sessions I know are 15 or 20 minutes. It doesn't work that way because of what all we're doing. So ours is a little different. But I think the biggest part of mini sessions and why people fail is lack of, seeing the vision down the road. I do everything in payments. I think that is the most important thing that I can tell anybody is people live paycheck to paycheck. And as this recession comes upon us, it's going to even be more important. So I have always set it up in a deposit format. They make a second payment and a third payment. Most of the time, I don't even offer them to pay in full. It's kind of part of the process. And in the end, you'll get a lot more money that way. It just takes time, but it's all part of, for me, the schedule overall, because I look at everything at what a year looks like and not what this weekend looks like. So I'm literally selling the next session in the middle of a session, because the best part about mini sessions is, for me at least, I only create them one time. They get that experience one time. So if they don't sign up for that day or they missed it because it sold out, then that created urgency and inspires them to jump on board faster the next time. And I mean, most of my shoots would sell out in the first few hours of releasing it. And it became a thing, like, oh my God, you missed it? Well, what's the next one? Is she going to do it a second time? And that urgency is what's so important in this business, because we're in a business where people don't need our services. It's a want. They have to make a decision to want us and to continue to want us. And as a recession hits us harder, it's going to get tighter. And we're going to have to use those sales techniques of creating urgency. And in the old sales adage, it's everybody wants what they can't have. And so, creating those one-off sessions, these are the props, this is what it's going to look like. I always had samples, literally way in advance. And that's a whole nother discussion, how you do that without, killing your brand and taking down the quality of the price. But I don't really discount price ever. I don't really believe in it. I think I deserve more than that. So I just think for me, sessions really changed over the course of my, 8 years of doing this pretty much full time. I've always done my marketing and advertising side and my consultant side. So, but it's a majority of my business, that's for sure.
I definitely like that idea of creating an urgency with something that's only going to be done once. It's right now. You can take it if you want it, and if you don't, well, then you don't get it.
Yeah.
And so those people who want it know you've trained them to if they think that they want it, to get it now, or they're not gonna. It's not. Let's discuss this over the next week or two.
Right. I mean, it's literally, I have 2 spaces left. Do you want it or not? Like, it's going to be gone.
Yeah.
And we're only going to do this once, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, I do elaborate events though. Like, I understand her saying like, oh my God, don't want to take the couch out on the thing. Oh my gosh. I remember
sure.
those days.
Yeah.
This taser a lot,
Oh yeah.
but, I actually do way more than that. And maybe that's why I'm so exhausted. Now we're just tired. You know, I mean, we built moons and 6-foot bananas in the studio. I mean, I've had some crazy things.
That's awesome.
And our studio is Sexy Santa. You
Oh,
know,
good.
12 women that dress up in Santa costumes. You know, totally
Nice.
different.
Nice. Well, I love that, Erica. I have the next question for you.
Oh, okay.
Starting with you, and you've already you hinted towards this, so it'll be more elaborating on what you just said. But how far in advance do you schedule mini sessions?
So
And
mine
this is both on the marketing side and those marketing efforts. And when do you start selling it? Because both of these things occur before you actually do the sessions, but not at the same time.
Nope. So I plan a year out. Always have. I set up for 4 events, and I call them events a month. 1 corporate and 3 in the pinup glamour world with different themes. And sometimes they're repeat themes from a previous month that really did well. But I will have all worked out a year in advance for me. To the public, I want that event. If it really hot and I'm posting it on Facebook and everybody's like, oh my gosh, this was the coolest thing ever. I wish I made it, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to already have the link to the next one, even if it's 7 months from then, for them to sign up right then. It's very common that I actually sell out an event before I've actually really released it to the public. And that's where it became kind of this, I see the same people over and over again. Because they create their own sense of urgency. Are you going to do this? I got to do this too, you know, and it becomes this like, we got to do it together. I had a lot of best friends that would do it and, you know, mother, daughter. So it created its own urgency. But because I do those payment plans, everything is broken down to those 3 payments. So that's every 30 days, they're making a payment. So that means that event is never within the 90 days. It's always after the 90 days. And in my world, they're having to like get special outfits, maybe. Even if I supply them, they tend to just want to do their own too. So there's a lot that goes into my sessions, probably more than a normal mini session, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. Yeah, that's.
And I may have broken all the rules of what mini sessions are, and everybody's like, who is this woman?
Oh, there's no such thing. We're creatives. We are artists, and we do things the way that we feel is best for us and the people that we work with. And we choose to work with the people that we enjoy working with. If we're doing it right, we're only working with people that we like.
Right.
So if you're doing it right for you and for them, you're not breaking any rules. It'd be breaking rules if you didn't do what you're doing.
Right. It's true.
That'd be your own
I think the
personal
hardest
rules.
part- I think the hardest part in this business is, as a creative, we tend to squirrel.
Yeah.
You know, as a consultant, I think it's I always consult with creatives, and they all have the one common tendency: squirrel. I got real good intentions. I got a great idea. Oh, a new idea. I'm going over
Yes.
here now. And it's really hard to have a structure in business when you're a squirrel.
You're right. And I'm guilty of it myself. I have to do things to keep myself focused, and I'm not always. I'm good at it, generally speaking. I think someone would look at me and think that I was good at it, but I do exactly what you're talking about. It happens. So it's why I've got to have systems, and I have to have things in place to focus my attention in the direction that I know I need to be going. So thank you for sharing that.
No
I
problem.
appreciate it. All right, so let's ask that same question of, let's see, let's go to Brandy. Uh, if I can click on the right one, there she is. Hey, Brandy, how far in advance do you schedule your mini sessions? Now, that's also for marketing and for when do you actually tell them ahead of time that when can they actually start purchasing?
It's usually about 2 months. So I have a short window. I have 3 children and I have a busy life. So for me to be able to like nail down my own date, book the Christmas tree farm or plan with the property owner at the Bluebonnet and make sure like all those things are a go. I've got to kind of, I don't want to be too close in the window that people can't have time to plan, but I've got to be close enough that I can make it all happen on my end appropriately. So typically that's like a 2 month window. So if I know that the Bluebonnets are probably going to bloom the third week of March and I can get with the property owners, I do that by the middle of January. If I know that the Christmas tree farm is going to need us to book a date, I try to do that by, September. So you have September, October, people can start planning, grab outfits. And for mini sessions, the way I do it, it's not so elaborate. It's going to be short and sweet. And so, I want people to have time to plan it and arrange it, but I've got to make sure that, you know, the world's not coming to an end in 2 months, or my own children don't have things going on that I'm going to miss. So I've got to kind of balance that. And for me to do that, it usually is a short window, but not too short. So if I can arrange it that way, that's how it goes.
So everything's happening within 2 months. You're marketing whatever it is you need to do to
Yep.
create your marketing images, your marketing message, any graphics you have to create, emails, whatever it is you need to do for it. That's done, and you're doing sales all within 2 months before the actual date of
Yeah.
the session.
And sometimes it's hard. The Bluebonnets are finicky, and there's been years that we hardly have any. And there's been years that I have a property owner that they lost a family member, and I wasn't able to use their property one year. And so there's things that come up, and I've got to consider a lot. And that's the hard part with some of the minis too, is I'm relying on nature. I'm relying on the flowers to grow. I'm relying on the Christmas tree farm to let me come in on a certain date that I'm available. And that one's a little more predictable and plannable. But some of these flowers, like, I had a busy June, and the only date I ended up having open was a Friday night, and it was kind of spontaneous to try to get some people out there. And so sometimes that's why it's a hit or miss for me. And I'm okay with that because my life has to go according to what's going to work.
Yeah. Okay.
And mine are not studio minis. When I get somebody in the studio, that is not a mini session. That is, I'm, providing me and only me to just one person on that date. And so I treat that a little differently. I price that differently. And so there's not as many variables. The mini sessions can be fickle depending on flowers and sunshines and all the elements is a task.
Do you always do them outside? Do you ever have
When
like
I
rent
do
a
minis,
studio?
I've only done them outside, and the only
Okay.
time I've done them inside is if I did it for a private company. So I've done minis like for an HOA.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say there's like a really big neighborhood and they've got, their HOA wants to provide that as something special to everyone who lives in that community. I've done that a couple times and it's a lot of fun. But the property management company provides all the props. They do the whole setup and they pay me like a lot more than a typical mini date event. And so that's something that is kind of approached all from a different angle than my own minis. My own minis are outdoor and based on the elements.
Okay. Very good. Well, thank you, Brandy.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to go to Lee next, but before I do, there's a question that I thought I should answer real quick, and I'll put that up on the screen. Uh, is it wise to do a sample session to advertise for the mini? And this question might have been asked before, but I think that each one of them has been saying they do believe it's a good idea. And of course, I definitely think you sell what you show, so you have to have some type of marketing image. Sometimes it's a graphic. I have created things in Photoshop or drawn something before for mine, but yeah. And as far as the naming the mini sessions, if I said something that made you think that I don't agree with that, then I made a mistake, because in my opinion, you must name everything. One of the things that I do in my classes is have my students create their own business dictionary. So therefore, they're actually forced to name everything. It's one of the highest things on my list is to give everything a name. So whatever I did that made you think that that's not how I believe, then I want to correct that right now, because yeah, you got to give everything a name, just like you have to give everything a home. Like my keys don't ever get lost because I put them in the same place every single time. I think it's a waste of time to look for keys, and I've got other things in that would be in that realm. But give everything a home. Give everything a name. Even your ideas, give them a home to exist. Here in this space, I have I don't know, probably 30 or 40 different. I'll just show you different binders. And each one of them are different classes or different thoughts or ideas, different programs, different charities, different events, like the tournaments that we host, the different events we do, just stuff. It all has a home. It all needs a title. It all needs a name. And so hopefully I am answering that question for you. All right, let's move on to lead and with the same question. How far in advance do you schedule mini sessions? And this is both for the marketing efforts and the date when you actually start selling it. What do you think, Lee?
So I'm with Brandy on this one. I have a crazy life with my kids. So it's really hard for me to plan way far in advance for minis. I'm even more fly by the seat of my pants than she is. I sometimes will only open them up a month in advance, which is not good. You shouldn't do that. But like my Santa sessions every year, they've kind of become a thing for my clients. I post those right away. I mean, and that's where I was more like Erica. My clients know at that Santa session when Santa's coming again the next year. That's the one that I really try to sell. But those are way more expensive than my normal mini sessions. I don't consider them mini sessions, even though they kind of are. But way more expensive, and I have him booked a year in advance. So Christmas in July is my big push. I try to go ahead and have all my dates set for my Christmas sessions. This is where I make most of my money. My Easter, 4th of July, fall mini sessions, I don't make that much. And so I don't put a lot of effort into it. I guess I could if I wanted to, but that's just typically how it's been. So I really put my focus on my Christmas in July. So I will release all my dates. I will have all my tester images and release them in July. I really market that as pay now, and don't worry about it at Christmas time when you are going to need the extra money. And so my clients already kind of know that. And so they just show up, when it's time to do it in October, November. I like to have all my Christmas sessions done by the end of November. I don't want to work in December. If I work in December, it's going to be for bigger family sessions. I already have weddings in December, and I want family time. So I try to be done in October and November for all my Christmas sessions. So I think that's about it. And just to tag on to the showing your images, you must show your images. I have, and again, it's just because I have a clientele that trusts me. I have gotten by sometimes with not posting images, but I would not recommend that. People want to know what they get, and just for happy customers, you want to show them what they're going to get. There's no surprises for them then. I basically take it, and you cannot do the whole Pinterest board. This is what it's going to look like. Do not recommend, because, I mean, I don't know, some people might think differently, but that's kind of false advertising. So always take the time to do your tester shot, to post what your work is going to look like, what you're going to do. And plus, it just kind of gives you more clients if you offer a model call. I always try to do model calls of people that I have not shot before, because then they're gonna share with their friends, and you're gonna reach different and more people. So it's kind of a win-win situation. And my model calls, they have to pay for any pictures that they want. They're just coming in to get pictures, and I'm not charging them up front. So it's kind of a win-win to do tester shots anyways, and you can work out any kinks that might come the day of.
Perfect. That makes a lot of sense. Well, that leads us into the next question. I want you to just give me a quick rundown of the steps that you go through. What's the first step? What's the second step? What are all the steps? And just a brief description of them. Don't go into too much detail on them. But what are the steps that once you've decided I'm going to do X mini session, you've given it a title maybe. What are these steps in accomplishing that and making it a reality?
Okay, so I'm completely backwards, and I'll just see a backdrop that I like, and I'll buy it. So, and I don't know, probably not the best way, but I see a cute backdrop, and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. So I buy the backdrop. Oh, sorry, train. And then I'll do my tester shot, and then I'll just post them. It's not a real complicated thing for me at all. Of course, like Brandy said, with the flower sessions, there is a little bit more prep. And that's basically why I quit doing those as mini sessions, because it is a lot more work. But for my little, in studio or on the side of my house, outside backdrop ones, I just do that. It's super quick, super easy. And I use HoneyBook to send my contracts out, so everything's digital. And people just DM me. I don't even have a link. I need to get on that to have a link where they sign up. But I kind of am a control freak about times, and I try to schedule people back to back instead of letting them pick a time. So right now, people just PM me, and I sign them up, send the contract, send the invoice. I do. You must get payment up front, or people will no show on you. So I do get complete payment up front, and that's really all. Oh, I guess the end steps are important. So what I do is I send proofs out to people through Pixieset. It has proofs all over it. They can't screenshot it or anything. They pick their proofs. That's when I upsell. So each image over their 3, they definitely have to pay for, and they have to kind of pay a lot. So I can make some more money. And then I final edit them. So these don't really even need that much editing. It might be like covering up the backdrop that's, not big enough, but they pick theirs, and then I send them their final gallery. I try to do this all super fast for mini sessions. So I'd like to get them all out, proofs out, and finals out if they pick fast enough, like within a week.
Okay. So quite a few steps, but it sounds like you've got them down. You could probably do it in your sleep.
Yeah, you kind of get it.
Nice. Well, thank you for that, Lee. Let's ask that same question of Erica. Erica, what are your steps in planning a mini session?
Well, first is picking the theme and what props need to go into that theme. I'm always looking for things that are different. When you're when you're selling to the same client base and your little circle is not growing all that fast compared to probably some of these others, I'm also probably selling at a ridiculous price in their mind, but it's a whole different thing. And so I'm always having to come up with something totally different, like it's the Aviation Museum or classic cars on the water, which, when she said that about weather, I was like, oh my gosh, yes. I have to create a backup date for all those events for the weather. And when my clients sign up, they have to sign up for both dates. They know ahead of time what the rain date is going to be, because I don't have time to juggle that. I don't want to have to communicate with them more than I have to about the event. So we'll let them know 24 hours in advance whether it has to be canceled and go to the rain date, but that's already scheduled in there. But the minute I come up with the theme, the props that are needed, if we don't already have samples, if it's something's totally new, then yes, we are doing a model call. We do it very differently. Model calls for me is half of the price off of what a regular session is. It goes to my existing top VIP clients, and they get whatever I use for marketing for free, but they purchase anything outside of that. I don't believe in giving away free. Maybe when you first get started, but when people see that, they remember it, and I think it's all about devaluing the product. So I'm very, very careful about that. I'm also very, very clear what they get in the end. I don't give what most people will say digitals. I give print credits, and it kind of inspires them to think other than digitals of, canvases and metals and prints. And so all my sessions come with print credits. So it's a little different, but basically that's all my steps for a mini session. It's a lot. I spend more time on that than I do in the studio. That's for sure. Because it's a lot of arranging. And that's why they all are at least $400.
Your idea of double date for rain, I like that.
Always. Oh, I always have 2 dates. Always. That's mandatory. And a lot of my events actually have 3. But they don't know the third date. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to freak out if it rains out twice. Which I have one time had, and it's just horrible when you have 12 people and, 6 classic cars to rearrange. It's awful.
Man. Well,
I've
that's
learned to
smart.
not promise specific cars and specific planes. In my world, they see the images. Well, I don't know what's going to be available that day. So it is in the disclaimer, I would love for their clothes to exactly match that car, but I can't promise that car will be there because it's not my car.
Yeah.
I'm begging somebody to bring it. I'm like, please.
Nice. Well, thank you for sharing all that. That's a lot of good steps, a lot of forethought that goes into making sure
It's a
that
lot.
goes off without any problems. I'm sure that it's gotten better over the years too. You probably ran across some things you may not have heard of, and then later just fixed it so that it didn't happen the next time. Maybe the first time you did something outdoors, maybe you didn't have a double date.
Oh, I've
for
definitely
rain.
learned not to shoot like 11 in one in Virginia. It's just misery.
Is that right?
Miserable lighting. Yes, it's torture. I was never good at that, that hour of the day to shoot.
Well, thank you so much, Erica. All right, let's bring on Brandy. Brandy, what are your steps to planning the mini session?
So that's the tricky part. She was mentioning like I can't promise a certain plane or car. That's the challenge I've seen with minis is there was like a 2-year period where I was so geared to try to do a fun fall mini shoot with an old vintage truck in a field, and I had the vision and 100 other photographers do it, but I wanted to do it. And I finally found someone who had the vintage truck. I finally got permission to use it. I finally planned a whole mini evening around that truck. And then 3 days before the sessions, they told me the brakes went out in the truck and they couldn't get the truck to the spot on the property that the truck was supposed to go. And it was a nightmare. And so sometimes minis are such a gamble because of that, because you're relying on something outside of your skills, your abilities. You're hoping that all the elements can come together to make it something special. And I had one complete failure in that I had to reschedule. I had to get a different truck, and I managed to pull it off, but it was not ideal and it was exhausting for me. So the planning on that can take so much. That session in itself took 2 years. A year later, I got a neighbor that had a vintage truck in their garage, and it was like, this is finally going to happen. And like, I was able to do my dream shoot mini sessions with the neighbor that Heavenly moved in next to me. So that was really cool. But I feel like there's so many times that mini sessions, you can have certain expectations. It's really hard to plan properly. The Bluebonnet sessions, like I said, like I can plan and plan and plan, and I can find the property and I can do all the things. But if it doesn't rain just the right way on just the right day, then the Bluebonnets are like a week late, and that's a whole headache in itself. So I feel like you have to just kind of put everybody on the calendar, pencil it on, pray and hope for the best, and try to make it all happen. But minis definitely give me a little bit of anxiety because of that, because there's so much that has to go into it. And so I do my best to plan my part when I can be there, when I can make the magic. But putting all the other elements together can be a trying process. So that's why I do them sporadically and not on a regular basis.
Well, those are all good considerations. I mean, it's just proof that we all do it differently, and we do it the way that is best for what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
And we keep on evolving that. We may not have started in the way that we're at right now, and we have evolved to where we're at right now, and it's not where we're going to end up. We're going to make some changes as we go. But right now, you're exactly where you want to be, that solves the goals that you have.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to bring you back on here in just a moment, Brandy, to ask the next question. But before I do, I want to let you guys know about something that is coming soon. This is the annual San Antonio Youth Photography Tournament. It's going to be this coming Saturday at the Dominion Country Club. It's an instant gratification photographers challenge. It's for ages 5 to 15. Now, instant gratification means they participate in this event. They photograph, they turn in their images, they are judged during lunch, and then after lunch, the winners are announced. Everything is done all in one day, from the creation of the photographs to the judging to the announcement of the winners. Plus, there's prizes, and all the winners get certificates. So this is really cool for the kids. It's identical to the one that we do in the fall, in October. That'll be on October 16th. But it's identical to the full version that we do for ages 12 and up, the annual San Antonio Photography Tournament. It'll be the 10th year this year for the regular tournament at the same location at Dominion Country Club. But if you go to, oh, you know what? That's blocked. The QR code is blocked. But if you go to saphotoevents.com, you'll see it there. Just click on it and it'll take you over to the payment page, so you can take advantage of that. But this is for kids age 5 to 15, and yes, they must have a parent or guardian with them. So take advantage of the 4th annual San Antonio Youth Photo Tournament. All right, let's bring Brandy back up to answer the next question. Brandy, what advice would you give for a photographer with little or no experience who's considering doing a mini session?
You know, I have fun giving advice, but for this, I think the best advice I can give you is you have to have like no expectations, because Mini sessions have been a source of disappointment for me at times. Something I'm super stoked about, something really cool that I have in mind that I want to do and that I put out there to the world. Some people latch onto it, and some people are, I'm just going to wait and get you all to myself next month. And I'll go ahead and book because you posted this really cool thing, but I'm not going to do it on the date that you posted the cool thing for. I'm going to book you for the other date for just my family. So it's not a bad deal when I create like some attention to my business and, do some marketing and people come in and book me for something else. But for the mini sessions itself, it's so hit or miss for me. Some have been super successful and really fun and a great way to spend a whole evening, having, short time frames with multiple families. And I think one of my favorites has really been the Christmas tree farm because it is easier to plan. It is more predictable. It is more, it's better for people to know when it's coming up, and people love holiday photos. So that's just a given. People really, really get in the mood for more photos right before Christmas and the holidays. So that is a perfect time too. But having no expectations, if you're going to do a mini and if you put it out there and you're super excited about it and no one else is, that's okay. That might happen. I'm 11 years and full-time and successful in my own business. I live off of photography. I have no other source of income. I have no other job. This is what I do and I love it. But sometimes minis are a complete failure. Like, in the sense of what I had in mind and what I envisioned and what I hoped them to be doesn't always come to fruition with my clients, but that's okay. If my expectations are more minimal, then I'm less likely to be disappointed. If I get a couple families that love it and they're super excited about what I'm doing and they book and they're happy and they purchase prints and they're even happier and everyone benefits from it and I make a profit, then it's not a complete failure in the long run. It's just maybe I didn't get 10 families to jump on a couple dates. Instead, I got a couple, but those might be clients that come back year after year and book a bigger session later. And so I still build relationships. I still meet new people. I still feel like I've benefited greatly from it, but the lower the expectations, the better, because then if it turns out amazing, you're going to be thrilled. And if it doesn't, then you're not going to be too sad about it.
Lower your expectations. I heard a comedian say that about 20-year-old women when looking for a guy.
I mean, here's the thing, like, don't expect so much. It's like, sometimes people are not going to like be so stoked to drive to the south side of San Antonio and play in the sunflower field, and they don't know how cool it's going to be. And, sometimes people do get that FOMO though. When they see me do it after it's all said and done, they wish they would have been there. And next year they might have their eyes peeled better because they saw me do it. They saw a cousin do it. They saw like more of the product of what I was trying to create out there. But it's like the other two photographers were talking about having something to market with. That's a challenge. I was in Florida for a week and my life is very busy. I didn't have a good opportunity. And the Traders Village sunflowers were only open for sunset, only on Friday nights, only 3 times. So having the opportunity to get out there and do a sample shoot and do a model call, it wasn't practical for me. I wasn't even in Texas for part of June. So that was not an option. That was not a possibility. So it was, you got to have some faith in me and come out there or don't, and you're going to have FOMO. And so I bet next year, though, if I advertise early in May and I put it out there that Traders Village is going to have the sunflowers, people are going to be like, oh, wait, she's showing those pictures from last summer. Those were really cool, actually. And I should have booked one. And this summer, I'm going to do it.
Nice.
And I'm guaranteeing next summer, I'll go on a trip in June, too, because I always do. Next June, I'll be gone part of the month. I won't do a promo from next summer. It'll have to be this summer's, the few that I was able to capture. to use to put the word out there. So we'll see how it goes. But that's sometimes how it has to work for me.
Oh, good. As long as it keeps you happy and keeps you making the income that you want, then it's right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still trucking along, Jim. So
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
yeah.
Thank you, Brandy. All right, so let's bring on Lee to answer that same question. Lee, can you give us some advice for someone who's starting off with mini sessions?
Yes, I agree with Brandy. Mini sessions can be kind of a plug and chug kind of thing. And it never fails. Never fails. After I post a session, and they're done and over with, at least 2 people message me about booking them. So, and it's kind of like Erica said, like you always want to get that want, from your clients. So don't be frustrated if, 1 or 2 people book. I mean, this last year I only had 1 person book my New Year's ones, and I loved them. And as soon as I posted, lots more people wanted them. So it's kind of a plug and chug. Like if you, well, for me, well, and for the flowers too, like if it's something that you're going to do year after year after year, it's super easy to like every year expand your clientele. So just don't give up. Don't get frustrated. One of the biggest things that advice I have is start small, like very small. Do an hour and do 20 minutes each, and allot 15 minutes per, family or client or whatever. And just start with that. Just do 1 hour and see how it goes for you. Like if you want to do a mini session like that, where you're getting a bunch of people, and kind of get used to how much time you have, what poses you can do, and what your expectations should be. If you're working with kids, parents think that, 15 minutes, that's perfect. That's as much as my child will, participate. They're wrong, because kids do not warm up to you for about 10 minutes. So really in a 15-minute session with kids, unless they're just super outgoing or you've worked with them in the past, which is a benefit, you only have like 5 minutes of them maybe smiling because they're used to you. So just start small. Get like maybe 3 people and try that time frame so that you're not super stressed out about the time. I set an alarm on my phone to let me know the time. So just kind of try it out and see, charge enough where you're making, a profit of some kind, but, maybe don't charge a whole lot unless you're super confident in your work, and then go for it. But, just kind of try it, or even get friends and try that time frame. Because for me, it was the time frame that was the hardest, especially with kids. Adults, no problem, but kids, getting them to warm up to you with the camera in their face, because our camera looks different than the phone that mom and dad uses. So just try it out. Start small. I would not recommend booking a 3-hour, back-to-back 20 client mini session for your first go around. You will be overwhelmed. Even on my Santa days, I still like every so often leave myself breaks. And that's for me to go to the bathroom, or, just take a deep breath, and also account for like people being late. Even though if people are late, they miss out on that time. That's not on me, that's on them. And I think that's it, because I want to keep it short.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Lee. And so let's ask that same question of Erica. Erica, what advice are you going to give to photographers who haven't really done mini sessions before?
I think number 1 is, how big is your circle of influence, and what's your client base look like? Because if you are booking, 4 clients an hour, in 4 hours, that's 16 clients. How many people does it take to get 16 to even purchase, right? So you can't have 20 people in your circle of influence and expect to be successful in your mini sessions. It doesn't work that way, you know. That to me is number one. You know, I sit with people all the time and they're like, I'll put up these pretty pictures, but in the end, I go to their Facebook page if that's where they're promoting it, and they literally have, 50 friends. I'm like, you got nothing to start with. We have to build on this big time to raise the numbers, because mini sessions are all about numbers. I personally, if a mini session, all that goes into it, if it's done to my level, and mine is way more complicated than most, but at the end of that, in one day, I'll make 10 grand. So I have to have quite a few people that I'm communicating with or in my circle of influence that follow me everywhere that would want to purchase. So it's building the client base. That to me is number one before you even think about really a mini session. Besides that, I think, creating your own circle of influence can be done in different ways. And we need to sometimes think out of the box. When I first got started, I needed to really show people what I could do. And I knew I had my own connections to some really celebrity clients. So I created what is called Queen for a Day. And all of Hampton Roads voted on women in different categories that excelled. One of them was a first responder, whatever. They got queened, my Miss Universe. I had her come into the studio. She brought, wardrobes for them and literally crowns because she's awesome.
Oh, fun.
And she was already my client. And, I gained probably 500 to 1,000 followers just by that one event.
Wow.
And by that point on, that became just my foundation of how I built the business. So sometimes, and everything we did that day was totally free and donated. The makeup artist donated their time, but I'm an event girl. As you can see, my whole business is about events. I like events. Let's have a party,
Yes, absolutely.
We're having a party. Awesome.
Fantastic. Thank you, Erica. So this is the last question, and I'm starting with you.
Okay.
This is the last question. So I'm going to ask this question, but also include any closing thoughts that you may have
Okay.
with this. So how does a client schedule a mini session? And are there any rules that they need to be aware of? And what happens if they're late?
I think in their case, the 20-minute buffer, I've only done that a few times for very special events and usually Christmas for families for my clients. I don't do a lot of that. So they probably get into that a lot more than I do. My events are always one time. I may do that shoot again, like say the Aviation Museum. If they're sick that day, I can't do anything about that. I already paid for the museum. Literally, probably $600 to pay for the museum. So if they miss that, they have literally lost all their money. Now, I hate that. If they really have a reason, I try to work with people. And honestly, in all my years, because of the way I set it up and everyone has that built-in urgency, they literally are sick or something major has happened in there. So I will trade them. They cannot trade it to another special event, but they can trade their credits, because at this point now, the money they paid, because everyone is totally paid up by the time 2 weeks in advance of my events, always. That last payment that they owe me, that's due 2 weeks prior to the event. So they're completely paid in full, right? And so that becomes a credit they can use towards like a studio session, but I have my own studio. So that's where we can be more flexible, but it won't be the same event that they signed up for, unless they want to hold off a whole nother year in case I'm going to do it again. But there's no promise to that. So that would be number one for me.
That makes sense.
Them coming late, I just try to work with people. I don't want it to influence someone else's experience, as long as their experience is fine, but it really will throw off your schedule. I just did a real estate shoot with 4 realtors. Well, we only had 6 hours, and that's hair and makeup included. And so the first one started late, and it set everything off throughout the whole model home, and we had to be out for security reasons out of the model home. It was not a fun experience. And it was actually my last shoot in this business. I was like, oh,
of course,
this makes me feel good. Like, I'm done. Like, I don't know if I can take this anymore. Maybe I'm just too old. It is a lot. This business is hard. It's easy because everybody thinks they can do it. Everybody has a cell phone. They have a camera, so they think they can be a photographer. And now phones have gotten more and more advanced. The image quality is amazing. So what are we beating them with? It's coming down to props, lighting, and literally knowing how to pose them. There is an art to posing, and thank God I was a professional model as a kid that helped me in this business learn how to pose people. But I will teach classes to my clients on posing before. That's, think out of the box. Once again, it's how many connections you can make. And that is not just a one-time client, that is a forever client.
Yeah.
I mean, I have clients that were willing to fly in from Virginia to Texas for me to shoot for headshots. And I'm like, yeah, you're crazy. I'm going to be in Virginia. I'll take care of that. But, it's relationships like any business. This is business number 6 for me. Like, it's all comes down to relationships, taking care of your people. I always believe in not committing too much. My clients would, in the contracts, it states, they're going to get their proofs within a week, like even weddings, 7 days. I can guarantee you 95% of the time they got them the next day.
Oh, really?
Oh, most of my sessions, I don't go to sleep until the proofs are out. My clients know that. They know it's instant. They'll pay more because it's instant. It's hot on their mind.
Yeah, that's
They're emotionally attached. The more days you put in there, the less they're attached to them, right? They've gotten distracted with other things. But when they're feeling high and coming out of the studio and they just went out to dinner looking all fabulous, oh yes, they want to see their pictures, and yes, they'll spend more money.
Human psychology. Sounds like you've got it down.
It is. Just gotta love people. That's what this entire industry is about.
That's the truth. Yep, that's very true. Thank you, Erica.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. I'm going to ask the other 2 the same question, and I'll bring all 3 of you back on to so we can see everybody's faces all at one time. And then we'll be announcing the upcoming classes or upcoming shows. So that's what's coming. So
Great.
Thank you, Erica. See you in a moment. All right. So let's ask that same question. Let's see. How about if we go to Brandy? Brandy?
Yeah.
Tell me, how are they signing up for a session? And are there some rules that they need to be considering? And, like what happens if they're late? And if you've got any closing thoughts you want to share with us, add those too.
Yeah. So you really can't be late to a mini session. And I send out contracts, of course, for every session, but I put a little more into it for the mini session. Like, if you're late, it is going to take away from the time that you have. And just because of emergencies, I always have a window at the end of my mini shoots, like at the end of the evening. So if the sun's going to go down at 7:30, then I have my last session booked for maybe 6:50 or 7. And then either my last client is going to get maybe a little extra time from me. So I might make that like one of my family members that booked, or like a close friend that booked. I'll put them at the tail end. So either they're going to get a few more minutes, or I'm going to have an emergency and have to squeeze somebody at the tail of the mini event. So that's just kind of my planning. And I tell them, they've got to be ready. They've got to be prepared. They should be early. A lot of times my mini sessions are in more remote locations. And so they've got to find where they're going, and I'm not going to be responding on my phone because I'm going to be in the middle of a shoot with somebody else possibly. So there has to be some, like, I think my clients that come for mini sessions have to be responsible and have to be prepared and have to be early. And sometimes it's fun because they get there early and then they watch my clients before them. They watch me interacting and having fun with whoever's right before in the window. And I think they like that. It makes them go, oh, okay. Like, and then there's somebody maybe waiting. And then I feel like that allows my clients to see each other. And that's kind of a fun dynamic that's not normal for a regular everyday session. And so in order to book, they've got to contact me. I send out invoice. I send out contract. I send out when they're to show up. I do everything communication. I don't have anywhere that they can just go click a button and do it. I used to, and I don't like that. I like to talk to my people, and I like to share some things with them. And I've even started creating more written, like, pamphlets and flyers for minis and for different sessions, so people know what to expect and people can be prepared, and tips for what to do the day of and what not to do the day of. So don't go get a weird spray tan 5 minutes before your mini session because you might be orange or different colors, and I can't help you when that happens, because I'm not going to book the Christmas tree farm a second time because you decided to do some weird eyebrow thing the day of. So these are all real things that have happened. And so I try to over-educate my clients to be really ready for their mini date or any session, that is.
I'm going to have to make sure that I don't go do my spray tan or, my microblading before I come to see you next time.
I mean, if you go get some weird facial and they kill you and you're red and you want me to control that and you did it 2 hours before your shoot, I'm sorry, Jim, but you're going to be red. And don't do these things the day you're coming to see me. Like, how would you do that?
Yep. And you're right. Every once in a while, you come across someone who does exactly that.
No, women do these things. We're weird, we're emotional, and we're like, I want to look amazing. So what's going to make me look amazing? Maybe a facial and a brow wax and some off-the-wall tan. And that's not ideal to do the day of your photo shoot in any circumstance, but especially on the mini date, because I can't just reschedule you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Brandy.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring you back on with everybody here in just a moment.
Okay.
And let's bring Lee back on. And this is the last question. Lee, tell me about how someone actually schedules with you, and are there some rules that they need to consider?
Okay, and Brandy, you crack me up because I've had the same things happen to me. So a client books with me. Again, they PM me, they call me. I'm kind of like Brandy. Like, I've tried the whole sign up thing, and I just don't like it. I like being in control of when they book, and it goes back to the thing of, okay, well, what if I open it up, my mini sessions from 2 to 7, and I have somebody sign up for the 2 o'clock spot, and then I have somebody sign up for the 6:45 spot. Like, that's not what I want, so I kind of control all that and send out the contracts so they can sign digitally online. Invoices get paid beforehand. There are rules. I have learned that I have to specify with kids that they have to be sitting independently or be able to be held by a sibling or a parent. Because it never fails. People will bring newborns and be like, well, can't you just pose them real quick? And I'm like, that's not the way it works. Like, sometimes you can, but most of the time you can't. So that's definitely one of my biggest rules that people try to get around. I do send out a styling guide that does include all the stuff that Brandy mentioned, because we have gone through that before. one of the biggest things in my contract is also about no cooperation. Um, I can't force a kid to smile. Like, I can't do that. So that's definitely an important thing to have in kid sessions, mini sessions, is that if they don't cooperate, that's not on you. Also, teenagers, they can do that too. If they're late, they just miss out on time. I can't change that. Again, communication is key. I communicate that big time. I'm like, sit in your car, be an hour early, but sit in your car. But just, you can't be late. And people, they do that. They respect that. I had one little kid, with COVID, things kind of changed everything with this. And so, people, I do try to work with them. I do offer credit to another session. I probably shouldn't do that, but I do, because I don't know. I like to be nice, and things have changed with COVID now, but they have to, and I hope that people are honest with me and say when they're sick that they really are sick. But like Santa sessions and stuff, you can't reschedule with Santa. It just doesn't happen. So things like that, they know they're not going to get the same thing, kind of like Erica was saying, they're not going to get the same thing, and they know that. But I kind of do give a credit where she doesn't. But hers are a lot different than mine. Mine are, not that expensive and not that big of a deal. And I think that's it. And just, closing thoughts, reach out to us. We will gladly tell you our mistakes that we've made so you don't make them. We will help you. We're all here because we want to help you to do your best and not make the mistakes that we made. And we want you to, do this thing and not be as stressed out as we've been in the past.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing all that, Lee. I'm going to bring on all three of our panelists. So let's bring on Erica and bring on Brandy. Thank you, all three of you, for sharing your thoughts, sharing your experiences, not being afraid to share what it is that you've learned over the years to help us, to give us a leg up, a hand up, and to be able to try this kind of thing, because we can see, based on what you've shared, there's some things that we need to do, we need to have in place, and if we do those things, we're probably going to do okay. And of course, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to be able to have this opportunity to fix things and make it better each and every time to get it to the way we want it to be. So thank you, each and every one of you. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Erica, for giving us your time today, sacrificing something else and being here with us today on the Portrait Prophet Show.
Thank you.
You guys rock. All right. So I'm going to take them off, and I'm going to share with you guys the promo code. As you know, Digital Pro Lab gives a promo code at the end of every one of these shows. Now, after I give the promo code, I'm going to tell you what the upcoming shows are. I think you're going to be pretty interested in what's coming. But before I do that, let me go ahead and give you that promo code. So Amanda at Digital Pro Lab has given us 30% off any metal print. 30% off. All you have to do is use a promo code METAL30. All lowercase, no spaces, METAL30 for that 30% off. Now that's good from tomorrow until the 17th. So that's, I believe that's Friday. So the end of the week. So that's, in fact, let me just go ahead and look and make sure when the 17th is. So that's until, well, it's until Sunday, of course. That's when the tournament is for the kids. I should know that date. So from tomorrow until Sunday, that is in effect. So 30% off. Write it down. 30% off any metal print with the promo code METAL30. And I want to thank Amanda for always doing this for us, always doing things that uplift us as the photography community. I mean, their job is to make beautiful photographs for us, and they do, but they do so much more than that. She and her wonderful team at Digital Pro Lab. And here's just one more example of that promo code for 30% off any metal print. Write that down. Take advantage of it. All right, so let's talk about some upcoming. Oh, let me take that one off. Let's talk about some upcoming shows because we have some good ones coming up. So here is the one that's coming up on, let's see, the 18th, so a week from today. And again, it's at our regular time at noon. So the next one is, and maybe you'll be surprised by this, but there are advantages to being an introvert. And there are a lot of creatives who are introverts or who lean in that direction. There's some cool advantages, you guys. I'm going to share those with you. And man, you're going to be using those to your advantage from now on. So that is 1 week from today at our regular time, Mondays at noon. Every single Monday at noon, we have a show for you. All you have to do is show up. So the next one is called The Advantages of Being an Introvert. Now, the next one, the one on the 25th, 1 week after that, is our 75th show. Yep, we've been doing quite a few of these. We're at number 75, and that one is called Confidence is a Skill. Now, I think to some degree you already know, but we're going to talk about how it is, and what you can use, what tools you can use to actually increase your confidence level just by default. Not by long years of doing this, but something that's going to change as a result of your watching the show 2 weeks from now on our 75th show. So put these on your calendar. And then on August 1st, we have People Pleaser. Man, a lot of creatives fall in that category. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, a lot of us creatives fall in that people pleaser category. There's a lot of advantages to it. There's some disadvantages. So we're going to enhance the good, and we're going to reduce those things that aren't quite so good. Again, put that on your calendar, August 1st, for People Pleaser. Now, the next panel will be about what I do for my clients. So this will be those little extras, not just the photography, because that's what every photographer does. They press the button, they create beautiful, wonderful images. But what in addition to that are they bringing to the table? What are those cool little extras that keep their clients coming back and being loyal for years? So that'll be one a month from now. And as always, I want to invite you guys to take advantage of my business assessment consultation. This is free. I'm not charging you for it. Now, it's 30 minutes, and I give you one a year, so it's not like I can do this all the time. And my schedule gets filled with them, so it's quite possible the time you want is not available. So sign up now for it. And so let me give you that address. Hang on just a moment. There it is. I'm going to put that in the comments section. All right, so take advantage of that. That's my business assessment consultation, and what you're seeing now that's coming into your newsfeed is the link to that. So all you'll do is click that, and that takes you to my calendar. You'll find a time that works, and then we meet. And it's done via Zoom, kind of like what we're doing here. This isn't Zoom, but it's similar. And we'll go over whatever it is you want to, even if you need help on your price list. We'll find out what your exact price list is, because price list is not something that is a comparison to other photographers. That's one quick way to failure in photography. It has nothing to do with what other photographers are doing. And yet that's what most photographers do. I'll show you. And you'll see very clearly why math is the way to find your correct price list, not comparison. All right, so that's price list, or that's the business assessment consultation. Let's also talk about, I take one photographer to lunch every single Tuesday. Every Tuesday. I take one photographer to lunch. All you have to do is sign up. So let me put that link into the, let's see, I'll put that link there as well into the news feed. Here we go. Lunch with Landers. So that one is now in your news feed. If you'd like to sign up for lunch, I'm paying for it. Lunch with Landers, It's me. I'm paying for that. You don't have to. You have to pay for the gas to get yourself there. And that's a little on the high side. But nothing once you get there. I got you. We're going to meet at the Dominion Country Club at my Rotary meeting. And we have a speaker every time at the Rotary meeting. So we're going to get to hear some wonderful speaker. And then afterwards, you get just you and I together talking about whatever it is that's important to you after that is over. So lunch with Landers every Tuesday. Just click that link in the news feed and you'll go to my calendar and you just pick the day, which Tuesday is best for you. All right. Man, so glad that you guys are signing up for that. I want to keep those full, those filled. Good. All right. So thank you guys so much for being here with me. Thank you to Amanda at Digital Pro Lab, and thank you to Lee Slaughter, Erica Wages, and Brandy Morgan. You guys are fantastic. You gave us your time. You gave us your attention. You gave us some wonderful pointers, some wonderful tips. We thank you so much for giving us your time and knowledge. Thank you for doing thank you for doing things that uplift the photographer community. For Landers Photography School and Digital Pro Lab, this is Jim Landers bringing you the weekly Portrait Profit Show, giving you evolving content, awareness, and even fun to the business side of photography through helpful information, step-by-step processes, and action steps that will help you with the struggles you deal with now so you are constantly realigned to the path that leads to the success you deserve. Be here every Monday to experience a different way of looking at the business side of photography. And thank you for investing your time into the Portrait Profit Show. Until next time, thank you guys. Bye-bye for now.